So excited for our guest today. Cayla Craft is on. Hi, Cayla.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited.
Yes, I'm so excited to get into the conversation. So, can you just give a little brief background of yourself and your business for our listeners if they don't know of you?
Yeah, so I was a previous ER nurse turned network marketer, and I have a really thriving network marketing business that I absolutely love that kind of opened up some doors for me to start a new company called Millionaire. And it's really my mission in that company to help create 1 million mommy millionaires.
That's
So
awesome.
we are having fun with that.
And, tell me a little bit. I'm so interested about, I know you've done network marketing. How and when did you kind of make that shift over into being a business strategist for
Mhm.
women?
Okay, so what happened was I was doing really good in network marketing, and then all these traditional business owners were asking for help. And then I also had people in other network marketing companies that were asking for help, wanting to collaborate or get advice from me. And so I was doing all this stuff for free all the time because I love helping people with strategy. Like I literally will wake up in the middle of the night still and strategy. I'm like, "Oh, I have this idea for this person." And so then and Chase, my husband, was like, "Why don't you do that as a business? Like, people really that's your gift." And I'm like, "Okay." So we just started charging people for it. And then we actually saw more people have results because when people pay for something, they actually usually follow through with the advice that you're giving. Right.
Yep.
So, so that's kind of how, but then I'm very still focused on my network marketing business as well. But I time block my days. So like today when we're doing this podcast, this is a recording day. And so I have days that we do things, and then I have
Mhm.
my network marketing day. So that way I can get stuff done because I don't want to leave that because building a network marketing business was the smartest thing I ever did to have cash flow always coming in every week. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's something I just started touching on too is the time blocking. So I do the podcasting on, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I have my activewear line, that I actually pretty much do every day.
Yeah.
But then, other things for other personal business. But time blocking has been amazing just to make sure I'm getting everything in and not feeling overwhelmed as well.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. Good for you.
So, and Cayla, I follow you, and I just think the thing I love most about you is like you are who you are, and you don't care if anyone thinks it's stupid, thinks it's crazy, whatever. What steps did you really step into to get to be that authentic self? Because we all have to work to kind of get there because we have so many thoughts that come in and say, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not here, or I can't build this business. So I know you've had to work to get to this place. What are some of the steps that you took to really go, okay, who am I, and how can I be my most authentic self?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think deep down when we take off all the masks, we know who we are and we know that there's so much greatness inside of us. And I feel like for me, what I did, I lived my life so ashamed, with lots of masks on me, trying to fit in and be a chameleon with everybody. And with that group of friends, I can't sing out loud, or, with that group of friends, I can't do this. And I used to have all these rules in place. And the moment I took the rules away about how Cayla should act is the moment I stepped into my authentic self. And so I think a lot of people, they give themselves dumb rules about how they should
Mm-hmm.
act. And I see it all the time with people, that I'm coaching or whatever. And I'm like, strip away the rules and then who's left? And that's who you are. And if you don't like who you are when you're looking in the mirror, then start to take, the steps you need to really change as a person. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, well, you know what? I want Cayla to be more confident. And so I started to role play. This is so crazy, but I would role play not being socially awkward. I would role play introducing myself, walking into a room. I visualized myself as a confident person that could own the room when I walked in and that kind of stuff. So I did a lot of mindset work, and I really got over this limiting belief, even though sometimes it can creep back in, of I'm not good enough. And so I don't need to get on Insta stories and try to prove that I'm somebody I'm not. I'm me. And when you're more aware of what your limiting beliefs are and what triggers them, you can transform those beliefs into something positive. And so if you follow me on Instagram, I talk a lot about you're enough, because that's what I struggled with for so long, was I thought I wasn't good enough. And so you put on the mask trying to be good enough and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm actually good enough just the way I am. So, I mean, a mindset work I do, doing things that scare the freaking crap out of me all the time, is what will grow your confidence 100%. And you start to do things that scare you and you're like, I didn't die, so I'm going to keep going and I can show up more and more like myself, because that's actually what gets me paid more and brings more opportunities into my life. It's insane. So yeah, and it helps more people that way too. So I think
Yes,
do the
definitely.
things that scare you.
It's funny because usually, even if I'm fearful of presenting or whatever it is, I do it. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was. Or I'm, doing a launch of a product or something. I'm like, oh, you get those voices of, I don't know what people are going to think. What if this person thinks this, da, 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 da. And then you launch it and no one said anything of what you thought were going to happen in your head. So sometimes it's like, you're almost self-sabotaging yourself.
Mhm.
And really being clear of, okay, do I want to do this? Is this me? Am I making sure that it's coming from my authentic self, not something that I just saw someone else doing?
Mhm.
So can you tell us a little bit? I like to give our listeners real tangible items and, not all the good stuff. Tell me about some downs and ups on your way to get to where you are.
Oh, okay. I feel like I've had so many. So I'm like, where do we even start here? I mean, the first thing that comes into my mind is when my best friend left my network marketing business. And that was really hard for me because I took it personal, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I realized that sometimes things happen in business that aren't personal at all, that people are always going to do what's best for them, and I can't make them wrong for that, right? So everybody's on their own journey, and you just can't take things personal. And so that is like a down where sometimes we can get stuck there because no people, nobody likes to be rejected, right? And now I look at every rejection as a blessing, because the people that do say no to me, I'm like, it's making space for the right person that I can truly help. And a lot of people, if you're starting a business, you're going to be rejected a lot, because a lot of people aren't going to see your vision, right? And so you can stay in that muck and you can feel the feelings of being rejected and feeling like nobody supports you, and you can stay there, or you can choose to not believe those lies and keep going. So, I think that's one situation. I've had a lot, like where, just like friends don't see the vision in something
Hmm.
that I'm doing. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I become the sum of the people I hang out with. So if I hang out with people that aren't supportive of my vision, that's not going to help me with my long-term goals. So I'm going to have to release this friendship now. And that sucks so bad, because it's kind of like grieving a death, because you're like, gosh, this season is over. I thought we were going to be best friends forever. And it hurts. But then it's like something better comes. It's insane how God fills in the gaps when people are kind of taken out of your life. So that's hard though. And a lot of people, they don't want to deal with that. And I'm like, that's what is required to go to every new level, you know?
Hmm. That's like the perfect segue to my next question, which was, what would you say to someone that hasn't found the tribe that really fits into their vision?
Okay, this is good, because for me, in this last like little season of my life, in the last like year, I paid to be in a mastermind. And I met some amazing people in there. I've paid to go to events where I've met some amazing people, because there's like-minded people there that are all kind of doing the same thing I want to do. And so we can work together and, support each other in that. And I think sometimes you do have to make that investment to be in the rooms of the people that you want to rub shoulders with. So, and I love that, because I know you're like launching something new like that. And people, sometimes you have to pay to meet these people.
Yeah.
Even
And
though it
also being an entrepreneur, it's not like we're going into a corporate office and we get to hang out with a whole bunch of employees sometimes. So for us, it's a little bit harder. And one of the reasons I started the podcast was to just connect with other entrepreneurs and also just get that insight out there to other listeners.
Mhm.
And, because it can be lonely as an entrepreneur.
Well, it can be lonely if you choose for it
Yeah.
to be lonely. Because I think we totally hear that all the time. It's lonely at the top and it's all this stuff. But it's like, okay, I'm going to choose to believe something different. And what I'm going to choose to believe is that I'm going to be more supported than ever right now in this season of my life. And then what you focus on, you find. And so you'll see more opportunities for more people to come into your life, and you can both support each other, which is like a beautiful thing.
And I think it's, we've been hearing a lot about different seasons, and I'm sure Cayla has 3 children and I have 1. When you're a new mom, your season is a new mom. You hang out with other new moms, and that's where you're at. And now my daughter's 2.5 and I'm really into like business world. So, the seasons change, and people I'm hanging out with kind of change a little bit, and that's okay. And I think people need to not be scared of that changing and friendships changing. It's not like you're letting go of friends, but you might not be focused on different friendships based on where you're at with your life.
Exactly. And you're not like saying goodbye to it forever. But it's just something that if you want to go to that next level, you have to be willing to sometimes sacrifice and go through the growing pains,
And show up at networking events alone.
Exactly. And rock it.
Yep. I actually learned that early on when I was in the music industry. I'd have to go to all these music industry events alone and try to pitch to these music supervisors. And I'd be like, hi, my name's Laura, but you know what? You just do it over and over, and it gets like, you just get used to it and you don't feel stupid anymore. So yeah, definitely. Why do you feel so many women today are suffering from imposter syndrome?
Oh goodness. Because we all have this like picture about how life is supposed to be, and sometimes it turns out so much different, and so we feel like we're in somebody else's movie sometimes. I don't know, I feel like that. Everybody deals with imposter syndrome that I talk to, like super successful people still feel that way. And I think it's something that we have to discuss all the time. Like, I think be vulnerable and tell people how you're feeling in a room. Be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm even in this room. Be open about that, because the more aware you are of the fact that you're dealing with imposter syndrome, the more you're going to be able to tackle it and transform it. And I remember like just a couple weeks ago, I was at a networking event and I was like, I just don't feel like I should be here. Like, it's an influencer event. I'm not really an influencer. I'm not at the level of all these people. Then I walked into the room and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to offer everybody in this room. I went in with a different mindset instead of like, I don't need to prove myself here. Because we're all trying to prove ourselves all the time, because a lot of us grew up with this lens that says I am nothing. And so we're constantly trying to prove ourselves that we're somebody. We're trying to prove to the world that we are. And it's like, just walk into the room, like, or get into this podcast or get onto that Facebook Live and just say, I have so much to offer. I have so much to offer. And then you won't deal as much with the imposter syndrome.
And I'm going to read the definition for anyone that does not know that. It is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. So, and I think that advice is great. Just going in and saying, what do I have to offer, rather than what am I not meeting? What expectations am I not meeting in my head? Going into a networking event and saying, oh my gosh, I have so much to talk about in regards to building a business or building your brand on social media, rather than, oh, I don't feel like I should be here. These people are better than me. Oh my God, they have so many more followers, blah, blah, blah. I know that so many business women out there think that when they go into these events, and a lot of the women I work with as well have brought that up. And I'm just like, you just have to reframe your mind, just flip it.
Well, and this is something too, like, side note on that, like, it doesn't matter how many people have followers, how many likes a photo gets, like, you can't take likes to the bank.
Correct.
So be secure in what you can do. I remember just like so vividly the moment I was named a millionaire in our network marketing company. I had a major imposter syndrome. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, is this really real? Like, do I have to go around like with a sign on myself that says cumulative? Like, I was like so scared of that name. And I thought, what are people going to think? How do I have to show up differently? Like, I put all this stuff on. And so I like that you gave a definition, because it's a pattern. It is a pattern, and you can always break patterns. That's huge.
Definitely. And you're not being a fraud when you just are showing up as yourself,
Oh, yeah.
If that certain way you do things is you, then that's you. That's not a fraud. And I think really zoning in to find out, like in the beginning of our conversation, asking yourself, who am I? How do I want to show up? Those things are vital, when you're starting down this road and also building a business and a brand.
Totally.
So I kind of want to shift. I know you talk a lot about serving rather than selling, which I love, how can we all focus on serving people rather than selling? And how has that made a difference in your business?
Okay. So I love